So I want to share a real life example of how I worked through a layer that showed up recently. So as you know, when we share things on the internet, not everyone responds nicely to your content or whatever you share. So yesterday I read a couple comments on one of my interviews, and they were hurtful. I'm not gonna lie and say, oh, it was nothing, I'm not affected by anything anymore, because that's not true. I'm still human. But what these comments did was they really brought up this part of me, this younger part of me that was bullied in high school. This part came up. The fear, the confusion. Why don't they like me? What did I do wrong? They have to like me. If they don't, then I'm in trouble. I'm gonna get hurt. I felt activation in my body. I felt a tenseness, a tightness. I started to feel that fight or flight sensation, come on. All of the sensations and sensations that come with it. And what did I do? I mean, that part of me, when I was embodying that part that was hurting and scared and afraid, that part of me wanted to either curl up into a ball and take off, all of my content and just escape. And then a part of me also wanted to just fight back and write something really mean down and say, well, no, because this is the way it is. And I have to prove it to them. And so what did I do? I paused. I took a step back. And first, I validated that part. I listened and made space. I held the space for it, and I said, oh, this makes sense why you're feeling this way. It makes sense because you've been through some really hard stuff. And this experience is reminding us of that time. I see you, I hear you, and I'm here with you. And I also let it know that I'll hold it. So I like to do a containment posture, or I like to haven, any way that I could signal that, hey, I'm here with you, I'm holding you, and maybe even rock side to side. And I let it know that it's not alone. This part of me is not alone. I'm here with you. And we're gonna move through this together. And so at that point, I also called in my true self. I invited that true self that I know is within me, that has always been there under layers of trauma and blankets of all of the coping mechanisms and symptoms and sensations. And I felt that true self drop into my body. And this is my true self, who I truly am. I am confident and capable. I am loving and caring. I am also brave and courageous. And I'm present in this moment. I brought in my true self and embodied that, and I started to feel different. So my true self, I was in me right at this point, and my part was being held by my true self. I made space for all of these parts in me. I didn't force, I didn't fix, I didn't force that change on it. But what I did was I made time and space and pause for it. And what happened next is pretty cool. I now had a completely different reaction to that comment. I now saw this as a person who's hurting and who is on this really difficult healing journey, and who wants to be heard in some way and maybe doesn't know how to communicate. And so I responded from a place of regulation and calm, from a place of compassion, just like I would have to any of my parts showing up. And that's basically how I moved through a trigger in real time. I'm just sharing these because I think that it's helpful to see practices in real time, what they might look like, even for someone, like me, who, guys, let's face it, layers come up, layers surface to heal throughout our lives. And, just because I've done a lot of healing work, it doesn't mean I'm never triggered again. And I always see these triggers as opportunities to do the deeper work. And that's exactly what this was, an opportunity. And this is how I moved through it. I have various ways of moving through things, but this is the way I chose to go yesterday. That's what I intuitively felt I needed to do. I share a lot of these practices in my membership Haven as well. So if you're interested, check the link out in my bio. And I hope you found this helpful.